record. Okay, start record. There we go. Thank you so much, Delana. You are awesome. You're my lifesaver right now. Okay, so I don't even know where I was at now, but anyway, the idea is you can put your own pictures in there. But like I said, I don't have any cutesy pictures, so those are the ones I'm going with. I also made a couple of little tags with it as I was going, put some more pictures on there. So anyway, the idea is it's home decor. This matches my bedroom perfectly, so these sit on top of my dresser. And I just used lots of different elements and mainly focusing on the paintables and the oil pastels and some of the color bloom sprays. So I'll hold this one up close really quickly. And some of this stuff I had in my stash for forever, like this beautiful flower right here with the charms. I don't know if y'all remember this one, but this was like one of my favorite Prima flowers ever. And I don't have that one again tonight, so I won't be able to use it, but that is what we have so far. And I did have to put some metal pieces on the bottom of this one to get it to weight, because sometimes to weigh correctly, because when it was done the balance was thrown off a little bit. So on one of these I added 2 magnets to the front, it was this one, and it just made it stand up straight. So I mean, whatever you have to do to make it stand up perfectly, go ahead and do. Alright, so I prepped as much as I possibly could, and I'll just stick these over to the side. I kind of still want y'all to be able to see as I work, so just going to kind of tuck them over there to the side a little bit. And I did some prep work here, and these I've already got prepped pretty much ready to go. These already have the paintables on them, top and bottom, and I made a boo-boo on that one and cut the hole really big, so that's now the bottom even though it was going to be the top. And then I prepped this larger one too. So I was going to show you, these are just your regular ribbon spools. This is just some generic gross grain ribbon, anything like this. Okay, I have them in varying sizes. I had a ton of them. To make a taller one, which is what I did to this one, so I'm going to show you how I did that, is I combined 2 of these by just pulling the bottom off of it on 2 of them. And I just glued them together. So you can see here, one of them are white and one of them wore the craft color, and then I just used soft gloss gel or actually the 3D matte gel to adhere those together, and then that just makes you a taller one. So before I jump into everything, let me give you guys some announcements really quickly before I forget to do that too, since I'm just forgetting everything tonight. Thank goodness I have Delana here. She'll be modding for me, the amazing Delana. So if you guys have any questions along the way, she'll be here to help and post all of the links. Yes, I am recording, Delana. I hit record. I don't know when you posted that one, but I did. I hit record. Okay, the announcements are our next show coming up. Miss Sharon herself will be joining us on the show with some surprises and fun ideas, adding sparkle and shine to our project. See her on Tuesday, December 15th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Gotta love Sharon shows. She's just amazing. And also, if you are joining us for Art Venture 2016, there are a few spots still open. If you want to join up for this amazing Prima-fied event, email Denny for more information. And his email is Denny, that's D-E-N-N-Y, at primamarketinginc.com. We will have a store open for the attendees to shop, overflowing goodie bags, and classes with all of the top Prima designers, which is amazing. And then lastly, my favorite announcement is the CHA sneak peeks have started on the Prima blog and social media. Check daily to see the exciting and amazing new products at prima.typepad.com. If you guys have not been following along on the Prima blog, whoa, you guys are in for such a treat. I cannot wait. Next month I'm doing 2 classes in January, and I'll be showing some of the new items. You guys are going to just swoon. There's so many amazing things that Prima has come out with this time. So check out the blog. I think Finnabear's on there today, and she was on there yesterday too, and the IOD Home Decor was on there, and the Christine Adolph rub-on stuff was on there. It's just amazing, you guys, so go check that out. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to move these 2 that are prepped out of the way. So all I did was, like I said, tear apart the ribbons like this. Every single one of them, I just very gently tore off the top part. And you got to kind of work with it sometimes. Some of the brands are a little harder to get off than the others, but it's okay. And even if it rips like that, that's totally fine because you're covering it with Prima paper. So all I would do from here is I use dies just because I happen to have these Spellbinders ones on hand. But if you don't have a set of circle dies, just trace them onto your paper. It's no big deal. That just saved me maybe, you know, a few minutes, that's all. So I used a bunch of the different paintables. These are the Iron Orchid Design paintables, and they are amazing. I used one from every set just about. This one is item number 814182, and it's called Classic Memories. Really, really pretty. I used the little tags too, which are just super, super cute. The item number for those is 814205. Let's see here. I also used this one, which is a very beachy kind of theme with the shells and stuff. These are gorgeous, and the paper is like ready to be, it's called Paintables, so obviously it's like a watercolor surface. And the item number for this one, which is called Bohemian, is 814199. I used these, which are very Parisian and beautiful, and it's called Nostalgic Reflections. The item number is 814274. And then lastly, but not least, I used this one, which reminds me of the Garden Fable collection. It's called Secret Garden. The item number is 814175. And you can see what I did is I just put my die in my die cutting machine, the circle, and cut it out. If you don't have that, just put your little circle in here, trace it out, and then cut it. No big deal. And I held on to all my scrap pieces, as you can see, because I will end up using these somehow. I mean, I'm not going to waste that image. There's still beautiful texts and everything. So save all your little scrap pieces of paintables, because they really will come in handy eventually. I don't like to throw anything away. Okay, so that is what I used for these. Let's see here. So I cut all of them out, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere this last one. For the inside part of the spool, you'll see when you tear it off, sometimes you'll have a little bit of this, you know, craft paper kind of coming off of it, and that's just really easy to go around with your scissors and just cut it off and make it nice and clean. I wanted to be realistic here and show you that way if you're doing these at home, you're like, why doesn't mine look like hers? They all were like this. I just went ahead and trimmed them up ahead of time. But you'll just have to do a little quick trim around to make it nice and neat. Just depends on the brand of ribbon, because some of them peeled off very easily and others didn't. Okay, so once I have a side covered, let me move that one out of the way because we're doing this one. And I went ahead and covered the back of this one. I'm doing both sides because when you put your spool down, this bottom part right here, you are going to see a little edge of it. So I kind of felt like I was wasting the paper, but I didn't want it to be just blank white down there either. That just didn't match. So cover both sides of each top part of the spool, top and bottom of the spool with paper. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cover my other piece. And I just kind of picked not very... the designs I didn't like the best, I guess I should say, is if I could choose one for the bottom portion that we're going to get covered up. So I just kind of got the ones out that I didn't necessarily like too much for that part, because I didn't want to waste my favorite designs, obviously. I'm going to be using rubber cement to adhere this just because it dries really, really quickly. Typically I use a matte gel, but for some reason I was prepping while I had the kids at the Navy base today at swimming. So this is what I had on hand, and this is what I used to prep. I think for the other ones I just showed you, though, I did use the 3D matte gel. But I had this on me. Don't ask me why I had rubber cement in my purse, but I did. So that's what I used. Alright, so I'm just going to do a, you know, just a liberal little coat. Same thing with the matte gel or any glue that you choose. Everybody has their own preference on glue. And you're just going to adhere it on there. And I can't stand the way adhesive feels on my fingers. I usually use a paper towel to rub it on there. But you're just going to go around and burnish all the way around. Make sure you have a really good, you can kind of rub it around a little bit, swirl it around, and get that adhesive spread really good, or really well. Okay. Now on the tops you will want to cut out the little hole, unless you don't want to, of course, and you don't have to. Some of them are larger than the other ones, like some are this size, some are smaller. My dies that I had, the Spellbinders one, they had little bitty ones in there. If you don't, just, you know, trace that little hole on there and then cut it out. If you're going to be on the bottom of it, you really don't even have to worry about it. You can just kind of set it on there, and you don't really need the hole on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead. You know what, I think we're just going to skip it on this one too, just for time reasons. We're going to go ahead and skip it. Okay, but that's all you would do. I just don't want to feel like taking my die cutting machine over here and doing that, but that's all you would do is just cut a hole in the center if you choose to. Okay, for this part, I just cut a strip that fitted. Every spool is going to have a different measurement. So I used the larger, the 8x10 sheets of the Paintables. Let me grab those really quickly and show you. These are amazing. Well, they're not even 8x10, I'm lying. These things are much larger than that. They are 11x14. I mean, these bad boys are huge. They are so gorgeous. So I use these to do the inside part of mine. And the item number is 814267, and they have beautiful, beautiful designs on them. So those are the ones I used for the inside part of my spool. I'm going to go in with the rubber cement again. Yes, Robbie does have all the new goodies at her house. I know that for a fact. It is so hard to keep things a secret. You want to just like show everybody because everybody's going to die with the new Prima stuff. You just want to share with the world, but you can't. I think Sharon, I guarantee you on her show Tuesday, you guys really should come for her show because I guarantee you she'll do some peeks of some of the stuff. If I was a betting woman, I bet Sharon will. But they're doing videos on the blog every day, and I mean, it's going to keep going, so it's super. Prima has literally branched out to every part, everything you could possibly need for, you know, crafting. I'm not even going to say scrapbooking because it's so much, it's gone above and beyond scrapbooking now. It's just amazing. So I'm just going to put the rubber cement there and then just wrap this around. And I went ahead and trimmed it to size. So this just takes a minute to set. That's why I really like the rubber cement. It dries pretty quickly. So I'm going to wrap it around and then just hold it for just a second. Just kind of rub it with my fingers. Robbie, I can't wait to see what you're making. It's really fun. Anybody who's ever created for CHA, it's like very nerve-wracking. Maybe that's just me, but it makes me really nervous, especially for Prima. Like, that's seriously nerve-wracking. But that's my favorite thing, and I've never even been to CHA, but I can't wait for people to upload videos of the booths, you know, and not just Primas, but everybody. I mean, they have such amazing booths. It's so beautiful. All the artwork that everybody sends in, it's amazing. You're nervous too, Robbie? Okay, good. Because I'm super nervous. Like, I'm second guessing everything I'm making, you know, like, is this good enough? And, it's just, it's nerve-wracking, but it's so worth it. It's really fun. I would love to go to CHA. I have not. Every year I'm like, I'll go next time, I'll go next time, I'll go next time. And then I never, you know, it's not even saving up the money. I mean, that would help, but it's getting the time off of work and stuff. Those of you who get to go to CHA, please take me with you. Please. I want to see, you know, the Prima booth. Let's see, the Graphic 45 booth, of course. A couple other ones, but majorly, definitely the Prima one. Okay, so this is pretty much dried. I'm going to put one little dot of hot glue because you guys know how I feel about hot glue. It just will seal this on here really quickly for me so I can move on and not hold this for another minute or two. There we go. Yes, go to the blog, see what they have, you guys. Every day you're just going to be blown away. And I mean, I have no idea what all, we haven't seen everything. Like, there's tons of stuff I don't even know that's come out yet. I mean, they really just went above and beyond this time. So the Iron Orchid decor, they had a video on Monday of them altering a very large dresser. So they have, like, you know, huge rub-ons now, basically. They're these gigantic rub-ons for your furniture, and it's just really, really cool. Okay, so to adhere this to my base bottom, I'm going to go over to my 3D matte gel and put the rubber cement away. The Iron Orchid stuff, I just love their style. It's very kind of Parisian, and I don't know, I really like it. So I'm just going to dip my finger in the 3D matte gel, and the item number for this, before I forget, is 961398. This is just the go-to adhesive for me. I prefer things to be matte instead of glossy, so I always go for the 3D matte gel. And I'm just putting it right around the edge. And it's okay if you're getting some over because I'm going to use a paintbrush to kind of clean it off in just a second. I'll show you what I mean. And I'm sorry if I seem so tired, y'all. Oh, I've been up since early and I've been at work, and I got home about 30 minutes before the show started, so I had to kind of rush prep. But I was at the Navy base while the kids were in swimming, and I was doing my crafting thing. Oh, that's very sweet of you. There is some amazing talent. I mean, not just on the Prima design team. If you're on the Live with Prima page or any of the Prima Facebook pages, the projects people post on there, oh my gosh, they just blow me away. They are so amazing. And I mean, it's not just the designers. There's people out there that just, so much talent, so much talent. I love to see what everybody comes up with. And I love that, you know, you can have one thing and everybody can get that one thing and just come up with something completely different with it. It's just awesome. But I remember when Prima had paper and flowers, and I was thinking about that the other day, and now it's like, wow, they have everything now. So it's pretty amazing. Prima is amazing. Okay, so we have that adhered. I do usually, to make sure my two, what am I going to say, the top and the bottom of the spool are lined up correctly, I'll kind of roll it like this with my fingers just to make sure they're lined up perfectly, and one of them's not kind of hanging off this way and one's going the other way. So just give it a little roll to make sure they're on there good, and then just push down. So that is it. From there, you're just going to decide which side you want to be your top, which part you want to be your bottom. This one's kind of yellowish, but the hole's bigger, which I like, so I think I'm going to go with this one. Alright, so our last step for prepping is to use the Art Basics Gesso Clear. And the item number is 961466. I love this gesso. Finnabair, just, gosh, everything she touches is gold to me. I'm going to be using some of all the paintbrushes I've been using. I grabbed a pack to let y'all know. Typically these are what I use, is the 7-pack of Finnabair brushes. And I love these. These are just my go-to now. And the item number is 962760. I think I always forget to mention that in my shows, but those are just the ones I use. Now let me see if I can find the one that's all beat up. Yeah, there we go. This one's all warped and well loved. So I'm just going to use a little, even though this is already a paintable surface, I just really feel like putting clear gesso on everything. You can't go wrong with it. It's not going to hurt anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of clear gesso on this. And I put it on the other ones already. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the same here. I just think it's a good idea just to make sure your surface is ready for any medium. So I just go ahead and do a really thin layer of the clear gesso. Or the white gesso if you want to tone it down and whitewash it. You guys, I wish you could see. If I remember, I'll grab my drawer full of spools I have. I don't know how long I've been collecting these. It's got to be like 5 years now, because I had a whole bin full. If you ever clean your scrapbook room, for me it's like finding all these new items. It's like a treasure hunt. Okay, so for this one I went ahead and did the Dresden trim around it. This one's going to kind of match up with this one right here. So we're going to do this one first, and I don't have the exact same items because these were the Royal Menagerie stickers, or the chipboard pieces, so I don't have the exact same ones, but we'll do almost as exact as we can. So we're going to go with that one first. I went ahead with the Dresden trim around it. This is one of my new favorite items. I really love this stuff, and it comes in these big pieces like this, and you get a ton of it in a pack, and the item number is 942441. As far as bang for your buck, the Dresden trim is definitely one of the must-haves. Okay, so I went ahead and did that. Now I'm going to go in with my oil pastels, and these are from IOD again, the IOD and Prima collaboration, and the item number is 814328. This is a must-have. I mean, I don't even use inks anymore. My days of using inks are just gone because this is all I use anymore. So just to add a little bit of vintage feel to it, I'm going to go around the edges with the ochre one. This is the one that's obviously the most well-loved. So it doesn't really matter how heavy-handed you are because you can rub more off. So I'm going around there. I'm going to kind of go in here a little bit around the base. Just, it's like a crown. You just kind of go crazy with it. And you can't ever add too much because you can always fix it later. Tiffany, hello my dear. Thank you for joining. just looking up. If I've missed anybody's name, I'm very sorry. I always say that, but I just don't want anybody to get on here and then me not say hello or thanks for coming. So I really do appreciate y'all coming. Alright, so I just dipped my finger in a little bit of water, just spritzed some on my glass craft mat, and I'm just going to start blending that inward. And you can see how it gives a very nice distressed look. So if you feel like you get too much, you can just wipe it off, like just like that, and it's completely gone. So that's what I love about the oil pastels, is you have so much control. With inks, I mean, you have a little bit of time to kind of do that, but I just don't feel like you have as much time as you do with the oil pastels. So they're my new favorite. So I'm just going all the way around like this, just giving some color, kind of bringing it inward, just to distress them a little bit more. And if you get too much, just wipe it off like that. I'm going to put a little bit in the center, coming out. Okay, so that's what the top looks like now, as opposed to just completely white. Total difference, right? Okay, so I'm going to go along my sides and do the same thing on the bottom. Just love these oil pastels, and I've used the same colors on like every project, I feel, but we like what we like, I guess. And I probably should be using a paintbrush for this part. And better yet, one of the water brushes from Prima, but I didn't put that over here. So you can just dip your paintbrush in the water and spread it that way too, and kind of get into all those crevices. And it works really well. Okay, and I also will take the oil pastel, if I can find what I just did with it, and I'll scrape some right on my glass mat, and then just spray it just a little bit. And you're just basically creating a little paint. And you can do the same thing. And I just kind of come into this top area and bring it down as if the oil pastel was a paint that was dripping. Hopefully you guys can see that. I know there's a shadow there, but I just like it to look like it's kind of dripping down from the top. Hopefully you can see that. So I'll just kind of do that all the way around too, just to give it some age. Okay, one down. And since I have the oil pastel out, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to my other ones really quickly, just since we have it out already, because they're all getting the same color scheme. I was going to do these in a Christmas theme, but I wanted to keep it this color. It's just so easy with these oil pastels, y'all. Love them. Thank you, Delana. I'm looking up as much as I can, but I know I'm going to be tight on schedule here. So my last class was the first one that I, oh my god, I don't know if you guys just heard that, but that is so funny. And you guys are going to think I'm a total geek, but I have this game that I play on my iPad. It's called Heyday. Laugh at me, go ahead, but it's really fun, and my niece and nephew got me into it, and I'm totally addicted now. But anyway, you have cows and pigs and everything on there, and when they get hungry, on my iPad, it moos and oinks and makes all these crazy noises at like the most awkward times. Like I'll be checking out at a grocery store, and it will moo or make like a big oink, and everybody looks at me. So it's really funny, and I don't know how to make it stop. I have tried to turn the push notifications off, and it won't come off. So anyway, if you just heard that, that's what it was. It really cracks me up, so I'm leaving it like that. Chris gets so embarrassed, I swear. Like, our waitress will be over there getting her order, and then my iPad starts moving. I'm still a kid, what can I say? I like to play games like that. If anybody else is on there, I'm going to go check out your farm now. Okay, so we're almost done. I guess I'm taking too long with this. I mean, really, you can just be super sloppy with these oil pastels, and I'm going to demonstrate that, and it will still look amazing. I mean, you could take your time in some of these beautiful paintable elements, and it's a shame I'm not doing that. You could really paint these flowers and, you know, do some really cool effects with them, which would be awesome. But, yeah, I'm not going to do that tonight. But, I mean, you really can. These are paintables. That's essentially the purpose of them, is just to turn them into beautiful little works of art. But I'm not going to. So anyway, you can see, you could just go all out, but I just want some color, so I'm just going to randomly just splash some of it on there, completely haphazardly. Alright, that is it for the oil pastel color on the ochre. Next, we're going to use some of my favorite color bloom spray of all time, and I just got a new one, and I want to say, whenever I first saw the video for the color bloom sprays, I saw that you could supposedly refill these bottles once they got down low, and you would get, you know, another bottle out of it. And I'm like, oh, it would be too weak. There's no way. I have refilled this bottle 2 times, and I'm telling you, I could refill it a 3rd time. It is no joke. You really can't. So I have a fresh new bottle here, but I'm still working on this one. So, I mean, it's amazing. You really can refill these bottles. I am not joking. I waited until it was about less than half, and then I put water in it. So it depends on how, you know, dark you want the color to be. But it still works perfectly. It's still super dark, and this is the 2nd time I've filled it up, so it's pretty cool. Alright, so I'm going to go in. This is soft teal, by the way. I probably should have said that. It's part of the sparkling pastels, and the item number is 573782. Yeah, I mean, I've never had a spray like this, a color spray, that I could do that to. So I was impressed. And I mean, I'm going to be honest, I was totally skeptical. It's like, yeah, right, you can't fill that thing up and use it again. Yes, you can, completely. Like, and your color is still completely vivid. So, yeah, pretty nice. Alright, I'm just adding some splashes of this. You can see I'm just completely, you know, very messily adding this color and just dipping it in there, adding some splatters. You know, I just want a very messy, distressed look. So I'm going to go through all of my spools. That way they can just all dry instead of going one by one. And then we'll decorate them all individually. But it's really easy to do this. I didn't add any crackle mediums for once. I tried to keep it, you know, relatively simple, easy to achieve. So that's all I'm doing. Let me go on here to the big one, add some color. These dry so beautiful. The sparkling pastels are my favorite, and it will adhere to the Dresden too, which I really like. So I'll kind of dip the paintbrush in and go on my Dresden, and it will color the Dresden, this really pretty patina look. I don't know if that's showing up or not, but I am just rubbing some anywhere I want to add a little color. Okay, so I think that's good for me. Maybe a couple more splashes here. And we are good to go, color-wise. I mean, these paintables already have a kind of a two-tone effect to them. It's almost like a white, creamy two-tone effect. So now we're just adding some more color. Okay, we're going to set those to the side to dry, and I'm going to go ahead and go with this one. You can kind of blot off the excess drippage, and it will still stain your project, but it just won't be as intense. So it'll be like that. Whereas if you let it dry naturally, it'll really be a lot darker. But what is Tiffany sad about? She just threw them away? Oh no, Tiffy, yes, totally refill them, girl. They're amazing refilled. Alright, I'm gonna grab, oops, sorry y'all. And I just knocked away my chat. Give me a second to pull it back up really quickly. Don't want to miss what y'all are saying. Okay. These are the chipboards from the Royal Menagerie. So I'm going to go in here and just pull out a few that I want to use. Let's see. I think this clock one will look really pretty because it kind of matches. It's got that pink on it. Let's see here. I'm just going to throw a couple out here, and then we'll decide from there which ones we're going to use. There, I know I'm going to use that one. That's a winner right there. Just want to stick with the same. I love, this is my favorite one. How pretty is that? That's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so I might just use those ones. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so these are really, really pretty. Ooh, I don't know if I have an item number for this, Delana. Oh, yep, I do. Okay, it's 582463. That one's just handwritten on the back. Okay. So what I did is I took some of these bamboo skewers that I had, just regular little wooden bamboo skewers, and I inked them up using the teak wall chalk edger. So I'm just kind of going on here like this really quickly. I just didn't like the bare wood look. I thought this looked better. And you could color this with the oil pastels too, but I just use that because it's so super quick. And I'm just going to cut the rest of it off. And this is going to adhere down in here like this. And I'm going to add this pretty little sentiment here that says live your dreams, just like that. Okay. So to get this to adhere really well in here, I'm just going to go hot glue crazy, okay? I did not put a hole on the bottom for this reason. I literally just stick my glue gun in here. One thing I have done before to make sure it's extra sturdy is added, what is that stuff called? It's almost like a wool, maybe polyfill or something. And I stuffed it in there so it would really catch it. But I just literally filled, and I could see the glue right there. So I know I put enough in there. But feel free to add some scrap paper in there. Anything you want to add. I usually add a little bit more right there and push it over on the edge, just like that. I'm going to hold it for just a second. By all means, use Fabri-Tac. I mean, I guess this feels really good to me because I've been creating pieces for CHA, and you have to use really good adhesives because it's going to be handled. So my poor hot glue gun has been neglected. So for this show, I am going with hot glue because I've missed it. Okay, so it's already staying. It's not going anywhere. Okay, and it's really hot down there in the water. Okay, so I'm just going to adhere it like that. These are adhesive backed, but I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more glue too. And just to keep it color themed, let me add a little bit of the ochre around the edges of that. You can see just how pretty that just makes that look really vintage super quickly. I mean, how quick is that, you guys? I love these oil pastels. When I first got these, I was like, oil pastels, that's such a fine art, you know, product. I'm never going to use those, and now I can't stop using them because how quick is that? I love it. Okay. So I'm going to peel the adhesive backing off, and then I'm going to add a little strip of glue right where I want this to go and kind of bend it onto the stick. And I've got it going, I don't have it in the center, and that's because I'm going to add a dragonfly on the other part. And you know, I've just totally realized I'm doing this backwards, so let me turn this around really quickly. I didn't pay attention to the design here, where I wanted it to go. And I want it to go this way. So, give me just a second to get that situated again. And also, like with the bamboo skewers and the little wood pieces we're going to be using, when I add my flowers down here on the bottom, that will also really keep that in place. Okay, so out of the paintables, there's really pretty imagery. Like you have these beautiful flowers you can fussy cut out. I mean, how pretty would that be on something? We're going to use this teacup on one of the other ones. There's leaves, dragonflies. So I'm going to use the dragonfly on this one. So I'm going to paint it really quickly again. I want y'all to see I'm literally using two things, the soft teal and that ochre oil pastel. And that is how I colored every single thing on this project. And it's so easy to do. Hopefully, I wish my camera would zoom in. I mean, these paintables, they don't warp, they don't do anything, they just take this so well. And this one's not gessoed. I did gesso the spools first, but I didn't gesso this. Alright, so I'm just randomly adding the soft teal on there. Okay. Now, let me grab the ochre pastel again. I'm just going to keep it out. Little spritz there. I have had, I don't know, I haven't seen all of y'all's conversation, but I've had one or two of the pads fall off, and I use a lot of them. I've had a couple of them fall off, and what I did is I just glued them back on, and they didn't come back off again. I used Fabri-Tac, but you're not alone because it did happen to me once. It was once or twice before. It's been a while. Maybe it's something they have fixed. I will check with Sharon or Carrie and ask them, because that did happen to me a while back too. It's been a while, but it did happen to me before too. I thought it was just one of those anomalies that happened. Alright, these also blend really well together. I'll kind of show you that in a second. They add like a third color in there. So I'm just getting the tips of them. And then I'm going to get the body with this too. Alright, so there's my dragonfly. Really easily done. Robbie, I'm such a hot glue fan, but I've been on the Fabri-Tac kick lately. And the matte gel and stuff. Now this is a little wobbly since it's so wet, so let's see, I might be able to glue it while it's this wobbly. If not, we're gonna let it dry for a second. Yeah, I think we'll be okay. I'm just gonna put it right at the top of this. Let me get another glue stick really quickly, y'all. It's quite enjoyable using the hot glue again, since I haven't been able to. Alright, I'm just going to glue this right on the corner of this little Live Your Dreams piece. Okay, so it's just like that. Hopefully y'all can see that. And now we are going to add our beautiful flowers. I've got a feather here. This is from the Debutante Chipboard collection. Let me grab that item number. In that collection you get those feathers, and it's one of those. The item number is 579067. And I am pulling off, don't kill me y'all, but I'm pulling off a huge portion of the feather because they're just too big for usually what I want to do with them. So I usually pull a bunch of it off. And then I'll kind of pull more down and kind of reshape it how I like it. Pull those off too. But if you get these feathers and you're like, those are way too big for a project, just tear the bottom part off, and then you've got a beautiful, smaller feather that will fit whatever project you want it to fit. Okay? Now, I'm going to be using some of the Royal Menagerie flowers. They are so pretty. This is the pack, and it's called the Louise Collection, Royal Menagerie. The item number is 583293. So I'm going to show you another trick that I usually do, and again, this is just me. Well, no, I'm not. Okay, typically when you get your Prima flowers, though, I don't know why this one's not. Most of the time they are. They're glued on here. I'm going to go ahead and glue them really quickly just to show you what I do when I get them like that. Okay. Whenever I get a fresh pack of Prima flowers like that, I usually grab my paintbrush. I'm all about saving time, so this is just one of those things I do to save myself a little bit of time, because everything I ever use is going to need gesso. So I usually just do this, grab my clear gesso, and just go over all the flowers all at one time. And just kind of get in between all the layers. And then they're dry and they're ready to go anytime that you have a project and you don't have to worry about them not absorbing any mediums very well. Let me clear this stuff out of the way. I'm totally back here. But I just go ahead and adhere it to all of them. All at one time, and I never have to worry about it again. I do the same thing with the vials for the apothecary, the labels for the apothecary vials. Anytime I can do a shortcut to save me time in the future, I usually do. So as soon as I open a pack, I usually do this. It's just my preference. These flowers are very, very, very pretty. I love them. They are so incredibly gorgeous. The colors, I used to hate green, and now I love green. I like this color green. This is the color green I like. And this one more so than that one. I like the softer greens. Okay, so let me look at the one I have over here really quickly. I'm going to use an older flower that used to be my absolute favorite. If I can find it over here. Where did the Firebird flowers go? There they are. This used to be my favorite set of flowers. These are so incredibly pretty. I love them so much. They're the Firebird in white. The item number is 566470. These were one of my all-time favorites. I could not stop using them. So I'm going to use the smaller one off of there, and I'm also going to totally dissect it, so please do not get upset with me, but I'm going to take it apart, okay? I just want this center part for the flower. So look, you got one beautiful flower right there, super pretty and satiny. And then you could use this, put another center in there, you could use half of it. I'm gonna pull the little feathers out as well. Well, I'm gonna pull one off, how about that? Because these feathers are so pretty. I can't ever find pretty feathers like this at the craft store. They're always really yucky. Okay, so I'm going to put a little feather piece coming off over here, and I want it to be a little dimensional. So I'm just gonna put some hot glue and just kind of pop it up like that. Okay, and then I'm just gonna kind of lift the feather because the vein will kind of bend a little bit, as you can see. Okay, then I'm going to put this little smaller feather kind of coming in the middle of that one. Just like that. I dissect my flowers all the time. I know people are probably like, don't do that, what are you doing? But I do. I'm sorry. Okay, for this feather, and I also like to do this when it's on the packaging as well, it's just one of my preferences. I will take my alcohol inks, if I can find it really quickly. This is the Latte Alcohol ink. That's my favorite color. And I'll just do one spritz in the center of the flower, and it's even still wet with the gesso, and that's totally fine. And I really like that gray area to just darken up. So I'll put like 4 or 5 squirts, spritz at one time, and then add a few more around the outside, and spritz it one more time. And then when this dries, which I would heat it up if I wasn't on camera, but it takes so long, I'm just going to blot up the excess water. When it dries naturally, like this one, it looks really pretty. But obviously, since it's still pretty wet, it's not going to look as good. But I just like the darker center as opposed to the gray center. You can see the difference there. I just like the darker one better. Okay, so I'm going to just stick this one over here, and since this is wet right now, it's just looking like it's falling apart and it's a hot mess. That is totally fine. When this thing dries, you can reshape it any way you want, okay? It will get perfectly back in place. So I'm going to add some hot glue right by that stem, and just place my flower like that. And then I'm going to take that little piece from the center of the Firebird, and I'm going to kind of bend it in on itself a little bit just to get that shape I want. And I'm going to glue it right here up front. And I have to turn it my way really quickly, and then I'll show you guys. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. Okay. You can tuck in another little element back here. I could tuck in fact I think it will, I'm going to tuck in these little binoculars just because they look really pretty and suited for a picture. So I'm going to tuck those in back there, and in order to get them to stay, usually I'll use like an extra flower to do that. So I'm going to add a little flower to the back right here. That way from every angle your project looks pretty and it doesn't look like it's just thrown together and you got globs of glue everywhere. So I'll just kind of use that flower to prop up my binoculars just like that. And then I'm going to add one more flower. This is from the Garden Fable collection. These are the sprout ones, which this shape is one of my favorites. The item number is 580803. And I'm just going to take this cream colored one and add one more flower, maybe right there. I think I added it in a different place on the other one, but that's where I'm adding this one. Okay, so that is the top of that one. And we only have 15 minutes left. We're probably only going to get to do 2 of these, y'all. But you'll get the gist. Okay, so on the bottom of this, I'm going to use, let's see here, since we're only going to do 2, let me grab this. I'm going to use some of these Shabby Chic Treasures, and this one is called Del Art, and the item number is 891466. And I'm going to use this little one right here, which I love. I'm going to take it off, and again, you guys are going to be like, well, what is she doing? I'm about to break this, so don't flip out on me. But I want this to go on a curved surface, and there's no way that is going to look right when it's hanging off like that. Okay, so I'm going to break these ends off like that. and they still kind of stick together because of that adhesive backing on the back, so it's okay. But this just allows me to adhere it how I want and curve it around all of the sides, okay? So please don't freak out on me, y'all. I know I just broke a really beautiful resin, but when it's on here, you will see why. Let me turn it my way really quickly to make sure we are good to go. Okay, and you cannot even tell that it is broken into, or broken into three, I guess, at all. And it wraps around now instead of just sticking out, okay? Okay, so broke that one. Don't get mad at me, y'all. I'm gonna add the other feather to this flower down there by it, and then just a flower, another little flower. And I think this one's done, and we'll move on to the next one. I'm just going to tuck a little feather over here. I literally dissect everything. I know you guys probably are like, oh, why is she doing that to her lovely Prima stuff? But sometimes you just have to make it fit what you need it to do. All right, so I tucked a feather over there. You can barely see it. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add another one of these pretty little flowers. And I'm going to put a little bit of alcohol ink because it just looks really white, and I'm not liking that. So I'm just going to drop some alcohol ink in the center of it. And I didn't gesso it first, so it's not going to look as good as it should, but it will still have some color. So I always do that, you guys. I just like to add a little bit of alcohol ink to the center. It makes things look better to me. Alright, so I'm just going to tuck this right there. And I'm going to call this one done, okay? So that is what that one looks like. We will add the roots and stuff at the end, by the way. So we've got these two like this. They're different, but using the same items, basically, so you can kind of see what you can do with them. Alright, we're going to hop over to, let's see, which one? I think we'll do this one next because it was my favorite. Okay, so I'm going to grab this one. The first thing we're going to do is grab these wooden branches, which I love from Prima. This is an older item from them. It's 556, and you get 4 of them in a pack, and I really, really, really love them. So I'm just going to grab one and kind of check out the shape. Yep, I like that one. So we're going to go with it. The first thing I'm going to do is, of course, add some of the oil pastels because it is way too white looking for me. So I'm just going to rub that in just to give it some more color. And already I like that much better. You could drop a little bit of alcohol ink on it to give it even more depth. Whatever you want to do. Dot the excess off. Okay. So this is the one we're going to do really quickly. I'm going to move it out of the way so I can see it. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is stick our little wooden piece out of the center. And the good thing about this is you can put the glue here and it will catch it right there. So make sure you have whatever part you want to be the front, facing the front, because it's easy to forget. Okay, so I'm just going to insert that in there like that. And this is what's going to hold our picture. I mean, by all means, you could slip a little picture like, you know, right in there like that. And just tuck it down in there. You could add a little clip to it. You could do anything you want. But we are going to go a step further and use some of our Shabby Chic Treasure resin frames. I love these so much. The item number is 892128. They come in all different sizes. I'm going to use this larger one. It's my favorite one. And before I put it on there, again, I'm going to take the ochre oil pastel, just kind of go like that, and it's going to hit the raised areas. But then when you add a little bit of water and just kind of brush it around, it'll get all down into there. Color your frame and make it very vintage looking. So that quickly you can just change the look of anything. And we'll do a little bit of the soft teal too. Well, that was a lot of it, but you know. Okay. Alright, so we're going to add that piece right here, and I just glued it straight on like that. Hopefully you guys can see that. If you want it to go this way, just figure out whatever way you want it to go. Okay, I used the ephemera pieces, which are over there, and I'll grab them in just a second. Let me see how I'm going to do this first. I think this one's going to go sideways. Yeah. All right, I'm going to glue it on there with hot glue, but if you're gifting this out to someone, definitely do not use hot glue. Use a good solid glue that's going to hold up. Don't be a shortcutter like me. All right, so just get that on there how you want. I'm just going to hold it in place for a minute. Okay. We're going to use some of our memory hardware from Frank, which I love, and I can't ever pronounce anything that he makes because I don't speak French. The item number is 990299, and I think it's Marseilles, someone correct me, but these are like my favorite little pools ever. It's super cool. Ah, do not fall on me, little guy. Stay where you are. If I need to add a flower to you, I will, but I need you to stay there. Alright, we're going to go ahead and add a flower to this guy, because that's how we're going to remedy it. Well, first we'll add our pool here. That might fix the situation. Oh, really, Miranda? I just totally ripped a piece of wood. Blah. Okay, you guys, hold on. There we go. No, we're going to have to start over. Sorry, you guys. I totally butchered that piece of wood. We're going to have to grab another one. Alright, let me cut that piece off. And then I can adhere it. Sorry, y'all. Technical difficulties over here. That's the beauty of hot glue. That's why you don't use it. Right there. Prime reason. Alright, I'm going to hold this one until it dries this time. But I will use this on another project. No worries, it's not going to get wasted. Okay, that one's dry, so I'm going to add this Marseilles Pull, just like right here, just to kind of accentuate the curve that we have going on already. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue to it. And just pop it right on the side. Try to make sure it's nice and centered, just like that. Okay, we're going to add our frame again. We're going to go for this again. See if we can add it this time. It's not wanting to add today for some reason. Let's see what I can do here. Let's tuck a little flower down here and see if that will help it to stay. Flowers are usually what I use to kind of remedy situations like this. I'll just kind of tuck it down in there, and it will usually hold everything how I want it to, and then I can just shape it how I want, and it will look like it's meant to be there. Okay, so now my piece of wood is not going anywhere thanks to my lovely flower. And I'm even going to add one to the back just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. There we go. Okay, now back to that frame. I think I should do a whole series on why you don't use hot glue, because every time I do, something messes up. Okay. I'm going to hold this in place until it dries. Okay, so now it is staying. So you could add a little photo in there if you wanted to. If you want to be like me and just add a piece of vintage ephemera, you can do that. Anything you want to do, you can go for it. Okay, so I'm going to add a little saying that I cut out of one of the pieces here. I'm just going to add it right on the front here, and then I'm going to add a vine coming around it, okay? I don't have any pop dots on me because I just didn't bring them over here, so I'm just going to use hot glue as my pop dot. I know that sounds crazy, but it actually works. So all I'm going to do is kind of curve this how I want it to go, just like that. I'm going to add a pretty thick bead of hot glue around it, And then all you gotta do is just wait a second before you adhere it, and it will really push it out and give you like a pop out effect. So I used like a ton of hot glue. And I'm just gonna let it set for a second, and then just very carefully place it just like this. As soon as it dries, it'll just be completely popped out. Now, for my favorite part, the vines. This is my favorite vine of all time. It's super beautiful. It's the Pixie Vine Nature Garden. It's beautiful. The item number is 555931. And I always cut my vines in half so I can get double the use out of them. So I'm going to cut right here. So I'm going to have this big section down here. I mean, this is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful vine. I'm probably going to cut that excess stem off, which I'll use on another project. And then we're going to use, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it totally just popped it out and made it look really cool. Okay, then we're going to wrap this one around the bottom. So you can just kind of curve it. It's a wired vine, as most Prima vines are. So I usually just curve it around, and I'm just going to adhere it just like that. And then I will show you guys how I kind of weave it around items to make the little signage still show, because you don't want to cover up everything down here. So I'm placing it on there, but I'm making sure not to glue over any of my signage. So I can move that flower down, I can move that leaf, move that one, and everything will still show. And this will just wrap around the entire bottom of the spool. This pretty vine, which I love so much. Love this. Okay, these vines are so beautiful. I feel like if you ever are struggling to pull together a project, all you need is a vine from Prima and you're gonna have it done. All right, I'm gonna shorten this one really quickly, and it's gonna go around the opposite way. If you have to pull off a couple of leaves because it's just too full, go for it. I think this flower right here is too big, so I'm gonna pull it off and just use it on another project. And that leaf right there, and that one. So I'm just gonna wrap that one back around. Again, I'm dissecting everything to suit what I want it to do. So that's all I'm left with. I'm going to cut a little bit more off and then bend it into shape and just glue it around again. All right. Perfecto. All right, our last step for these is going to be adding some organic items. The day that I made these, my honey actually had me out weeding the garden, so hopefully y'all can see how pretty that looks with the vine around the bottom and that pretty signage. And you can just add any photo you want there. On this one, I added some of the Magnolia trim, which is super beautiful. It comes in 2 different sizes. This one is item number 583026, and I just cut a couple of them off. And I did the same thing with the color bloom spray and the ochre, and I just added them around the frame just like that. So I'll go ahead and do it really quickly just to show. But we're just going to do teal for time purposes. So what I did is I cut them in half because only half of them are going to show, and I don't like to waste my product. So just color them and then cut them in half, and then I just went right around the edge of my frame and glued those on there. And you can kind of pull them together and make a ruffled shape, and it'll look really, really pretty. Okay, I think we just need one more. There we go. So just added that right around the side. It just gives it more character and definition. So So for the bottom of these, as you can see, I have tons of items kind of poking out and spraying out all around it. Like I said, I was just gardening and I was pulling up weeds, and I took this bag right here, which looks like a bunch of dried up junk, which basically it is. But there's roots in here, there's moss in here, there's just all kinds of really cool, really messy items, mind you. So I'm going to pull a little bit out. I'm going to shake it out a little bit before I bring it over here. And I'm just going to get a few pieces like that. And let's see, like that one. So just make sure you get all the dirt off of them. And then all that I did was kind of pull it apart and start gluing it to the bottom. You want to flatten it because you don't want your spool to kind of sit up irregularly. You want it to be nice and flat. But this was the funnest part for me, was just doing this, and it was really relaxing. And when I was out there weeding and I was just pulling up the weeds out of the ground, the root structure was really pretty. So that's really what inspired me. So like I'm going to totally just glue that right there, just on that piece, just like that. And then you can kind of trim it to suit your needs and the way you want it to look. You can add more or less. Just kind of situate it like that and then push down on top. And then I also have, this is called Ashland Naturals. It's just a bundle of dried stems that I got at Michael's. And I've had this for probably, oh, I don't know, a couple of years now. I've had this for a while. So I'm going to use a couple of these to add on there. These are just really, really pretty. As you can see, it's quite messy, so do it, you know, in an area that you don't mind cleaning up afterwards. You're going to have to vacuum, but it's really fun. So I'm just going to get these. You can see these branches are just beautiful. I really, really, really love these. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the ones I want. And just stick those coming out just like that. So you'll see how it'll just be coming out the side of it. So you can just kind of flip it over. Just add a little bit of glue. And I usually just add a dot of glue. It really doesn't take much. It's a tiny little stem, so I just kind of push down with my thumb. Okay, just like that. So now you've got these beautiful, earthy, organic pieces kind of coming out the bottom of your piece, just like that. So it's the same thing with these. I took a little more time on these, and I added a few of the memory hardware pearls and stuff, and then I also took some white gesso, which I'll go ahead and show you really quickly, and I just kind of highlighted a few of them just to give it like a contrast. So I just took the heavy white gesso, and the item number is 961442, and I just barely dipped it in there with my paintbrush, got most of it off, and then just kind of highlighted some of it. It just really gave it a really unique look. You can kind of go over these leaves too. It'll kind of tie it all in. And then the last thing I did was I went in with alcohol ink again, because I love my alcohol ink. Hopefully you can see that. It's really, really whitewashed now and looks really pretty. Okay. Tiny pine cones, yes, that would look really pretty on this. Super, super pretty. We have huge ones in our yard, but we never have small ones. I wish we did. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is take some of the alcohol ink. And in the pictures on my Facebook or on the Prima blog, you can see the detail of this. It really does show up. You can tell that some of the roots are darker, there's a color variation. You know, Ustream, you lose a lot of quality, so I don't know if you'll be able to tell on here the difference, but it's really pretty. And I'll just kind of add it on some of these leaves just to kind of tie it in. And I'm going to go ahead and spray the center of this flower and add alcohol ink again, just like that. So hopefully you guys can see those roots. I don't know if the color difference is coming across, but it really ends up looking really pretty. You can go all the way around your spool or just go like halfway. This one I did go all the way around with it. You can glue some little pearls on there, whatever you want to do. On this one I fussy cut a butterfly out and added a flower to the center. You can tuck in any of these little leaves and stuff from the Paintables. Basically anything you want to do, you guys, just fussy cut it out and add it on there. You can see how this one's not wanting to sit perfectly straight, so I definitely add some roots to the back side just to make it kind of sit up on its own better, if I could make it. So anyway, that is it, you guys. Let me get the other ones out and show you. I'm sorry we only had time to create 2 of them, but I mean, they're all the same steps. Basically, you're just picking different embellishments, but same color scheme, using the Paintables, using your oil pastels, the color bloom sprays. You can really make these items stretch. So we created this one tonight. Let me grab the other ones we created tonight. This one tonight. And once the all of the items dry, because they're wet right now, you can kind of pull the petals up and really shape them how you want. Like this one, it looks really pretty now once you get to get the shape how you want. But right now it just looks kind of lifeless because it's dripping wet. So anyway, this is what I've come up with, you guys. Does anybody have any questions? Let me look and see before I exit off of here. Oh my gosh, I have such a mess to clean up because of all those branches. Okay. Oh, she does, Robbie. That's awesome. Thank you. I wish I could see the chat and see what you guys have been talking about. Thank you guys so much. I'm really sorry we only got 2 done, but I don't want to spend 20 more minutes. Like I said, you're doing the same thing on all these. They're really fun. Use the Christmas collection. Make some Christmas ones for your home. That would be so cool. I'd really love to see it. If anybody ever does any of these, please tag me in it because I'd love to see it. Tiffany, you have done some amazing altered spools in the past, so definitely kudos to you. I mean, I don't know if I'd have ever made any if I hadn't seen your beautiful ones in the past, so thank you very much for your inspiration. Oh, I'm so sorry you have an abscess. I hope it feels better. That is the worst pain in the world. That's awful. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Thinking of you. Delana, thank you so much for modding. You are amazing. I will hold some of these up really quickly. This one was my favorite. I didn't even get to do it. And I didn't even get to show the gold leafing. On this branch, all I did was just dip it in gel medium and dip it in gold leaf flakes so you can see how metallic that looks. But yeah, definitely just play, you guys. Get out there. These Paintables are so versatile. If you're going to get something that's, you know, bang for your buck, I'm saying the oil pastels, the Paintables, the... Gosh, there's a ton of items. Definitely the oil pastels, though, 100%. The Dresden Trim, that stretches forever. You got to get your hands on this stuff, y'all. It's amazing. Okay. Tiffany, yours are better than mine. You're right. See you guys Tuesday. Sharon will be here. Yep, like Delana's saying right now. Sharon will be here on Tuesday. And hopefully she'll get to show you guys some of the new items with her super sneaky self, because she gets to do that. It's awesome. But thank you guys so much for coming. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop record if nobody has any questions. Thank you for bearing with me, and I'm sorry if my energy level was a little low tonight. I did want to show, oh, really quickly, you could also use the Prima dies. I can't believe I didn't show y'all this, to add to the top of your spools or like to the bottom. I just was playing around with this before the show, and it looks so pretty. So if you have these Prima dies, y'all, they would look really, really pretty and delicate on these spools. I totally meant to incorporate that. Oops. Okay, anyway, have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Merry Christmas. I won't see you guys on here again until January. So I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season. And big hugs. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Good night, everybody.